Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all of you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining the call. And happy Diwali and happy Govardhan Puja to all of you, to the respective places, wherever you all are celebrating it. In UK, we're celebrating the Diwali today and Govardhan Puja tomorrow. So happy, happy auspicious days to you. Happy festival days. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. For some reason, I can't see Maharaj. Yes, I can see now. Jai. Yes. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory Srila Prabhupada. And so, Maharaj, are we discussing the Govardhan pastime today? Oh, sorry, not Govardhan, Damodar Lila Damodar pastime? Or
yeah.
Okay, let me just quickly share.
Yeah. You don't have to share the screen. I'll just.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Your voice is not very clear, Maharaj. For some reason, maybe if you can increase the volume a little bit.
Hare Krishna. You hear me?
Hare Krishna is still not clear, Maharaj. Maybe if we keep the camera off, let's see if that works.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Bol.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Come on. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, but internet is very flaky, Maharaj. Can everyone? I can hear Maharaj, but how is everyone? Is everyone is able to understand a little bit? Yeah, not very much clear. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's why you can't hear me, because I wasn't chanting.
We can hear very well now, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hari Hari Jai. Yes, we can start now. Thank you, Maharaj.
Get your home. Okay, today is the Diwali, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam it mentions that on this particular day was when Krishna performed the activities of stealing butter and getting tied up by Mother Yasoda. So this particular day is the anniversary of that day. So I'll tell the whole pastime from start to finish today. Were you able to hear all that?
Yes, Maharaj, please go. Yeah, can start.
All right. If you feel like there's some less volume or interference, just jump in and let me know.
Sure, Maharaj, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesa Sunyavadi Pastyat Vyave Satarine Vancha Kalpatu Bishcha Kripa Sindhu Be Vichapatitanam Pavani Gyo Vaishnave Gyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj were so concerned that Krishna, he has so many nice butterhead milk products, so many of the opulences that the cow offers at his home, but he's going to other houses, stealing butter. So they were thinking, we have to do something to keep Krishna here. Maybe our butter and milk products are not so good. So they made a plan. The Nanda Maharaj was a big landowner. He had many cows. Give Krishna the best of all milk products. So they took the best 1,000 cows out of the 900,000, and then they milked them. And then after milking them, from that milk, they fed that milk to the best 100 cows. And from that milk, they fed that milk to the best 10 cows. And from that milk, they fed it to the best cow. And that cow was only used for Krishna, that milk. And that milk was so fragrant, so nectarian, that as soon as it would come out of the cow, it would permeate the whole atmosphere with a sweet, sweet fragrance. It was called Parma Ganda, supreme fragrance. So that milk, Mother Yasoda would now prepare everything for Krishna with that. So one day she put milk on the stove and then she started to churn the yogurt. And she was there. In those days, the ladies, when they would churn, they would have their churning rods, and they would be dressed nicely, and they would have bangles on their arms, armlets, leg, and they would be singing. The Mother Yasoda would sing the glories of Krishna. And at that time, Krishna had killed Sakatasura, Putana was the first, Sakatasura, and then Trinavarti had killed these three demons. So she was singing the glories of her son, of course, not knowing he was the Supreme Lord, because they all thought, yes, Krishna is so magnanimous that Lord Vishnu came to help Krishna when he killed these big powerful demons. So she was singing and chanting and churning at the same time. And as she was churning, the bangles on her arms were clashing, and they were making a nice musical sound vibration. And along with her singing, it was very pleasant to hear. Now, Krishna was sleeping at the time, and Krishna started to hear, oh, and my mother, she's singing about me. So he looked out the door and he saw his mother there churning away and singing, and he became very attracted to that. So immediately he came out of the door of his room and jumped onto the lap of his mother, and she was so happy, and immediately offered her breast milk to Krishna, and Krishna was so happy. So now Krishna is taking the milk from Mother Yasoda, and Mother Yasoda is so happy. And this is going on for some time, and then all of a sudden, the milk on the stove started to think, Mother Yasoda is feeding Krishna, and she's feeding her milk. And because she has unlimited love for Krishna, she has unlimited love. She has unlimited milk. Because it says that the mother's milk is the love for the baby, actually. And it's called liquid religiosity. It's another name for milk, is called liquid religiosity. And so Krishna was enjoying that. But then the milk decided, what is the use of my existence? I will never get fed to Krishna. Therefore, I should end my existence. So the milk decided to end its existence. So while it was on the stove, it started to boil over and splash onto the stove and make all kinds of sounds like. And Mother Yasoda was hearing, oh, the milk is boiling over. So she put Krishna down and went to tend to the overflowing milk. Now, Jiva Goswami mentions in his explanation of this pastime that the milk was actually conscious, and the milk was actually thinking that I should end my existence. So we should understand that in everything in Vrindavan is completely sentient and personal. Even the so-called inanimate objects that we experience in our realm of existence, in Vrindavan, they are all personalities who have consciousness. So the milk was thinking like this, and Mother Yasoda went to tend to the milk. Because Mother Yasoda was thinking, this milk is also for Krishna, so I should make sure the milk is okay. So now Krishna was put down, and Krishna, as soon as he got put down, he was thinking, where did my mother go? She was just here, and now he became angry. His little child anger started to, and so he left the area and went into the next room, stood upon the grinding board, took a stick and broke the butter pot, and as he broke it, the butter started to come out the bottom. And at the same time, Krishna was grabbing the butter. And then what happened was all the monkeys headed by Dari Loba. Dari Loba is the king of all the monkeys. And whenever Krishna distributes butter, eats butter, he comes and Krishna feeds them. Sometimes it's wondered why monkeys are always there with Krishna. And then one time, Mother Yasoda said to Krishna, Krishna, how come you're always playing with monkeys? And Krishna said, well, in my pastime as Lord Ramachandra, all these monkeys, they helped me in the Battle of Lanka to recapture Sita. And therefore, these monkeys are my good friends. Therefore, I wanted to reward the monkeys for their heroic fighting. So when I always call them to give them some nice butter. Nobody could understand what he was saying. They thought he was just making some story up. But Krishna was explaining. And now when the monkeys were coming, Krishna was feeding the monkeys. He was also eating butter and throwing butter in this way and that way, because he was still a little angry about why his mother had left him. And then after some time, Mother Yasoda comes back and Krishna's gone. You don't see Krishna anywhere. And she looks around the room and Krishna is, all the room is full of butter tracks. Krishna was running around in the butter. And now he's looking this way and that way, feeding the monkeys, throwing butter and jumping around. And then his mother comes into the room where he is, and she sees him. And she sees he's acting so naughty. So she wants to chastise him, or at least control him. She picks up a stick. When Krishna sees his mother with the stick, he becomes fearful. He jumps from the grinding water down, starts running, and Mother Yasoda starts chasing him to catch him. But Krishna is faster than the fastest. Now, this is a very important part of this very particular pastime, because it says that in the Bhagavatam, it says, fear is afraid of Krishna. Fear personified is afraid of Krishna. And fear, the wind blows out of fear of me. Death takes its toll out of fear of me. All the material elements work out of fear of me. So Krishna can cause fear into the hearts of everyone, but now his mother is causing him fear. And some people say, well, Krishna is just acting fearful. He's not really fearful. But actually, this is not shastrically correct, because Krishna, in his mood as a baby, he's performing these activities in his mood as Krishna in Vrindavan, which is the highest mood of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So anything he performs is not an act, it's him himself. He's dancing with gopis, he's stealing butter, he's playing with his friends. All of this is his personality. And Prabhupada would also say, just like you do all of these things, where does it come from? It comes from Krishna. But when Krishna does it, it's perfect and it's transcendental and everyone enjoys. When we do it, it causes a problem for us and for other people. So now Krishna's running and Mother Yasoda is chasing him. Now she's kind of big, she's heavy set, and she has big hips and big breasts, and she's running and her hips are shaking, her breasts are bouncing up and down. She's trying to catch Krishna. And now she has some flowers in her hair. Ladies in the Vedic culture would always decorate their hair with nice flowers. So the flowers started to have a conversation. The flowers in the hair of Mother Yasoda. And one flower said to the other, who is this Mother Yasoda? She is chasing after the Supreme Lord and he's running out of fear of her. She must be a very great personality. What are we doing on her head? We should be at her feet. So the flowers fell to the feet of Mother Yasoda just to honor her as a great personality. So these flowers are also conscious. This is also Jiva Goswami's explanation. And now Krishna is running this way and that, and his mother can't catch him. And she's getting more tired. And Krishna, he has unlimited energy. But then he's seeing his mother's getting tired and she's becoming really frustrated. So he decides to get caught. So he gets caught and now she grabs him. And she throws away the stick because she sees that Krishna is fearful of the stick and she doesn't want to cause too much fear in the heart of her son. She just wanted to scare him a little, but not hit him with the stick. And now she thinking, what can I do? I have so many chores, and this rascal son of mine, he's gonna perform his mischief, and I'll never get my chores done. That day was a particular day where Mother Rohini, who was a constant companion of Mother Yasoda in the same household, she had to go for a celebration somewhere. And all the maidservants that usually help Mother Yasoda were also gone that day. So Mother Yasoda was alone doing her chores and taking care of Krishna. So now she's thinking, I'm going to do my household chores. And all these household chores are for Krishna. So she thinks everything I do should be for Krishna. And so now she's thinking, well, maybe I should tie him up. Yeah, I'll tie him up and that way he won't cause any mischief and I can get my chores done. And then she was thinking, where should I tie him? Then she saw the grinding mortar. The grinding mortar was where Krishna stood on the top and reached the butter pot. Otherwise, he couldn't reach without the help of the grinding mortar. So Mother Yasoda said, yeah, this grinding mortar, he is also part of this crime of stealing butter, so he should be tied up too. So she tied the rope around the grinding mortar and then she wrapped it around Krishna's waist. But when she was about to tie the knot, she saw the rope was 2 inches too short. So she immediately grabbed another rope that was nearby and she tied it to the first rope and then she wrapped it around Krishna's body again and it was still 2 inches too short. Now she was thinking, what is this? And then this was causing a little bit of commotion and the ladies from the village started to come to see what was going on. And then they came and Mother Yasoda said, bring your ropes. So they all brought different colored ropes, which all these ropes were for tying cows. And she put another rope on and again, it was 2 inches too short. And Krishna was not getting any bigger. He wasn't assuming his universal form. He was the same small little baby. And then she put another rope onto that rope and it still was 2 inches too short. And she was becoming bewildered and at the same time she was laughing and all the ladies were also laughing. What is this? Nobody could figure out what's happening. And finally she put another rope and still 2 inches too short. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati gives us a little insight of this particular pastime, which is not mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where he says, Srimati Radharani, little Radharani, who was the same age as Krishna, she was also baby-like. She came and she was there with her mother, Kirtida, and she saw Mother Yasoda trying to tie up Krishna. So she took a little braid from her hair, which was holding the bunches of her hair together. She gave it to Mother Yasoda and she tied it to, Mother Yasoda tied that braid to the rope. And when she put that rope around Krishna, Krishna was tied up. Therefore you have Radha Damodar, which is the pastime that's performed both in Vrindavan and in Jaipur, because Radha Damodar exists in both places. Every year during this month where Radharani ties up Krishna. And that's performed, Radharani is standing next to Krishna and she has a vine and she's holding the vine and the vine is wrapped around Krishna's waist. Shri Shri Radha Damodar. So now Krishna's tied up and Mother Yasoda's thinking, now I can go do my chores. Now Krishna, he's, little children don't like to get tied up. So he's not happy at all. He wants to get out. So he calls his friends, hey, Sridham, Subal, Kinkini, Ujwala, Devaprasta, come, untie me. So his cowherd friends, they all come running. Oh, Krishna's tied up. Yeah, please, get me out of here. So they're trying to untie the knots. And these are all Boy Scouts. They all know about knots. But they couldn't untie the knot. Now they were trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. But let's backtrack a little bit in this particular pastime, just to give a little insight of a very important point of this whole pastime. What does those 2 inches that were too short, what do they actually indicate? It's a great philosophical teaching. Who knows? Except for Sri Devi, everybody can answer the question. Sri Devi knows everything. So, what was those 2 inches too short? What was the indication for that? Satyabhama, you can let the other ladies answer.
So Nursing Lila Mataji beat me up. She's saying mercy and endeavor.
Mercy and endeavor. So that's not enough. You have to give an explanation.
Nursing Lila Mataji, do you want to or should I? So basically, it's other way around. It's first endeavor and then mercy. So we have to take, that first step to get, to get connected to the Lord, and so that the mercy, and then the mercy flows. It's said that when we take first step, Krishna takes 10 steps. So that first steps needs to be, we have to take that first step, and we have to make an effort, endeavor.
Yeah. Well, Krishna's merciful, I don't have to do anything. No, you have to make an endeavor. But even with endeavor, Mother Yasoda had perfect endeavor. Still, she couldn't tie him up. So why not?
So Namrata Mataji is saying prayers.
Not good enough.
Okay. So one more reason what I can think of here, Maharaj, is Madhurya Bhav, that Ras is the topmost Bhav, and the love which, because Krishna tied up, because, Radharani provided that.
I'm still going back to the 2 inches. What is that mercy that you're talking about? What is that supposed to mean? Mother Yasoda had pure love for Krishna. There was no question about that, but still she couldn't tie him up. Why? She had the endeavor, she had pure love. Why wasn't she successful initially? Anybody can answer, even Sri Devi. Go ahead. Yeah, because
Krishna had, go on, sorry.
Agreed to be tied up. In other words, and mercy is Krishna's permission. Even if you have love, if Krishna doesn't give you the permission, and then still you remain incomplete in your relationship. So Krishna has to agree. And when there's pure love, he's inclined to agree, but in this particular pastime, he wasn't. But after some time, he's agreed to get tied up. Now he's tied up. So this is a very important point, that when devotees perform devotional service, sometimes they are absorbed and they're trying their best to serve the Lord in so many different ways, and they have devotion. They're very, very humble. They're trying their best to serve. They're offering everything to Krishna. But Krishna is not reciprocating. Why? Because he hasn't agreed at that particular point. Therefore, devotees should never get discouraged and give up, but think that My endeavor is not good enough. I have to try harder. And Krishna does that. He puts his devotees in a situation just to bring out their love, to see how sincere they are in their loving relationship. So he makes them wait sometimes in order for them to bring about that loving relationship. Okay, so now he's tied up, and then now he can't get out. And the cowherd boys can't untie the knots. Why can't they untie the knots? Who knows the philosophical shastric answer for the reason they can't untie the knots except for Sri Devi? The Sri Devi heard my class the other night when I spoke to St. Baskin. Who knows? Why would the cowherd boys? Why weren't the? No, we have to go from a shastric point of view. What is the shastric knowledge that tells us what was special about those knots? Or what was unique about them? Come on, all you pundits out there. Come on, don't you guys read the books? Come on. Where's all the men? Come on. Prema Bhakti, you don't know?
Namrata Mataji is saying Yashoda Mata's love.
Yeah, but that's not enough of an explanation. You got to give the Shastric answer. Come on, well, you guys don't read the books. Because you don't read the books, you don't know. Come on. Read the books. Oh, try to figure it out. If you can't read even if you don't know, think about it. Why weren't the cowherd boys able to untie the knots?
Because it was tied by Mother Yashoda, so they would not disregard the permission, without. No. Okay.
That's got some element of truth in it, but it's not the answer.
And Narsingh Lamata is saying surrender.
Well, who wasn't surrendered?
I think in here maybe again because Krishna had some different plan, and he's super soul in again. This is again my guess.
No, he wants to get out.
He wanted to get out. Okay. Yeah, because the whole pastime wouldn't have, the reason Krishna performed this pastime, there was still some element of it was left. And if the cowherd boy had untied the knots, the pastime would have not been completed.
That's a pretty good philosophical speculation. That's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe I'm trying.
I like that. That was pretty good. I never heard that one before, but not the answer.
Oh no, okay.
But that's pretty good. I like that. Gotta remember that one.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru. This is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Das. Guru Maharaj, is it like Krishna in this pastime now with that knots, he is surrendered to Yashoda Maya, so that is because of that surrenderness, he cannot allow anybody else to untie it.
No, Krishna had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
But that's also nice. That's a nice answer too.
Hare Krishna.
I'm gonna see.
So Lakshmi Mataji is saying Sakya Rasamant.
Yeah, there's the answer. Lakshmi, or what is it? Who is that?
Lakshmi.
Sarvalakshmi Mai, yeah, she got it. That Vatsalya Ras, the knots were tied in Vatsalya Ras, the cowherd boys were in Sakya Ras. So those knots they couldn't come to the level of Vatsalya Ras to untie because they're not in that. The knots were in
Jai.
Ras and not in Sakya Ras. Yeah, that's the Shastric understanding. Okay, so now all the cowherd boys left and Krishna's all alone and Krishna's thinking, He starts to remember, I had some service to do, my great devotee, Narada Muni, he's given me some service. And so now he sees from a distance two big trees. They're called the Arjun trees, huge trees in Vrindavan. And they're standing very close to each other too. And Krishna, when he's still tied up to the grinding mortar, and he runs full speed with the grinding mortar, which is really heavy, attached to him. And he runs in between the two trees, but the grinding mortar cannot fit and catches both trees, and both trees come crashing down. They crisscross in front of each other and almost hit Krishna. The crash was so loud that it sent signals throughout the entire Vrindavan area. In the meantime, when everybody is shocked by the sound, these two big, effulgent demigods come out of the trees. They're dressed in their beautiful demigod outfits with crowns and jewels and their various types of armor. And they offer their obeisances to Krishna in a very prayerful way, start praying to Krishna, and they offer nice prayers. Krishna listens to their prayers, blesses them, and then they offer their obeisances, and then they leave. This was Malukuvara and Manigriva. Kuvera, who was the treasurer of the demigods. Now, to divert to that particular pastime for a little while, these two personalities, many, many years before, were living in the heavenly planets, and they were sporting with some girls in the Gandaki River, and they were intoxicated, and they were dressed in their birthday suits. So they were jumping around with these girls and frolicking around. They were intoxicated, and all of a sudden, Narada Muni Bhajai Vinaratika Ramanahare. The great Narada Muni, the sage among the demigods, comes along. He sees the situation, and all of a sudden the girls realize, oh, this great saint has appeared. So immediately they took precautions and covered their bodies. But these true, drunken demigods completely ignored Narada Muni's presence and continued on with their playing. Narada Muni immediately became a little upset. And he said, oh, you want to run around naked, therefore I curse you to become trees. And Prabhupada explains that if people want to run around naked, then in the next life they become a tree. Because nobody will say anything to a tree for not getting dressed up. But human life means to put clothes on. That is one of the principles of human life. And Prabhupada would hear amongst his disciples how people in the United States would run around naked. So he said, yes, that's why we have so many trees. And so when Narada saw that, he cursed them. They heard the curse, and that curse shook them up a little bit, and they become a little sober. Then they put their clothes on, and then they offered obeisances to Narada Muni, start praying to him, please forgive us. And now they were cursed. Narada was pleased by their prayers of apologies, and therefore he said, well, I cannot I cannot withdraw the curse, because once a curse is given, it cannot be withdrawn, but it can be modified, it can be changed. So he said, you will have to stand for 100 celestial years in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj in 2 trees, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, will come later and liberate you from that situation. So the curse immediately took effect, and they immediately took on 3 bodies. And now Krishna realized what had happened, so he performed his service and he blessed them. It's interesting because these 2 demigods, after seeing Krishna, offering beautiful prayers to Krishna, they could have stayed in Vrindavan and engaged in pure devotional service, but they still were attached to their position in the heavenly planets as demigods, so they returned to that position. Now, these 2 persons, they were somewhat prideful, and because of their pride, they failed to acknowledge and honor a great saintly person when he appeared. And in this discussion, you'll see in this particular pastime, as it goes on in the Lila, Srila Prabhupada discusses the different types of pride that one may be afflicted by. And we have the pride of beauty, pride of wealth, pride of learning, the pride of great accomplishments, the pride of good birth and good families. So, or just pride in general. So when one becomes proud, they become ignorant of their position and they make mistakes upon others. So these demigods, they were proud. Now Prabhupada makes a comparison in different types of pride. And he said, out of all the different types of pride, of course, there's pride of renunciation, pride of having great strength, so many reasons for being proud. Proud because I'm the best student in my class. Proud for different, in other words, pride can fall at any time, anywhere. What conclusion does Srimad Bhagavatam give out of all the types of pride? What is the most difficult pride to get over? Who knows?
Beauty?
Just because you're beautiful, you said that, right?
I wish I was. Sorry, I'm wrong. Maybe then.
Well, some people will think that. No, beauty.
Knowledge, Guru Maharaj?
Knowledge, wow, it's a pretty good guess, but it's wrong. Knowledge can also make one very proud. Pride related to Satya-guna, mode of goodness. That's a type of pride too. But there's a pride that
Wealth.
Who said that? Namrata?
Wealth. Yeah.
Wealth, that is the answer. That of all types of pride, the pride of wealth is the most binding of all. These 2 demigods were the sons of Kuvera, who was very rich. He was the treasurer of the demigods, a very powerful personality. And there's a Lila with Lord Krishna, who's in a different form as Srinivas. And in that Lila, Srinivas, who is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, borrowed money from Kuvera. And who knows what story that indicates? What particular pastime does that indicate? Let's see if you know the Shastra. Of Srinivas borrowing money from Kuvera in order to get married. Because he married the goddess of fortune, and he was poor, and she was a high-class lady, and therefore he needed to have limited. So who knows that pastime? Who knows what it relates to? Come on, all you scholars.
I know little bit because in South India it's said that this is why in Tirupati Balaji is still trying to complete the depth of Kuvera, and this is why what happens that there is a big hundi where whatever, even if you don't try, either you drop your ring or your bangle or things like that, you end up giving some donation there because Lord is trying to get as much wealth as possible to cover the depth of Kuvera. But I don't know the starting the pastor, maybe any South Indian Mataji here will be able to help us.
Well, you're correct. It's related to Balaji in South India, Tirupati temple. And Krishna borrowed money in order to marry Lakshmi Devi, Mahalakshmi. And that form of Krishna was Balaji later on. And now he still has to pay back the debt. So that's considered the richest temple in all of India. They have a room, pretty, not real big, but a big size room where at least 2 or 3, or maybe even more persons sit there just counting money all day. And you can see them, there's a glass window in front of them, and behind that you'll see stacks of money stacked up, and they're just carrying, they're counting Lakshmi. So it's a very rich temple. So Krishna has to pay back his debt to Kuvera. Kuvera is very rich. So these 2 sons were the sons of Kuvera. So therefore they were very proud of their wealth. And you see that even today in today's society, who is honored the most in Kali Yuga is the wealthy people. Now, although they have no good qualities, they're debauchees, woman hunters, drunkards, cheaters, liars. They still are seen as leaders in society just because they have money. Money is a false sense of success. Real success is character. One is noted by their character, not by how much they have or what they can do, but who they actually are. So it's understood that our society today is simply based on money. If you have a problem, you can cover it with money. If you have a situation, money can solve this. Apparently solve the situation. Everything centers around money, money, money. Therefore, Prabhupada said the whole society will eventually collapse because it's based on a false premise. Money is the foundation. Therefore, it will crumble because money is not a real principle of success. Therefore, culture is really the success of the society. They have culture, they have qualities, they have devotion, they have morality, and not simply money. So yeah, so these 2 persons were very proud. So Krishna, Narada Muni gave them a little mercy. They lost their pride, got the mercy of Krishna, went back to the spiritual world. Now, the residents of Vrindavan are running to the scene of where they hear the crash. And Nanda Maharaj appears there, and many of the cowherd boys. And everybody is seeing Krishna still sitting in the middle of these 2 trees, which fell right next to him, tied up to the grinding mortar. And they're wondering, what happened? How did these big, gigantic trees, they were there for hundreds of years, how did they fall down? There was no wind. But it must have been a demon who knocked them down. So they were all speculating. But some of the cowherd boys were there and they saw what Krishna did. So they said, oh no, it was Krishna. He ran with the grinding mortar, he knocked the trees down, and these 2 demigods came out, and then they offered prayers, and then they left. And the cowherd men were thinking, these boys, they're just making up these stories. And so they rejected that. But then after some time, they were thinking, well, you know, Krishna has done some pretty amazing things in the past. They weren't sure. So then Nanda Maharaj comes, he sees Krishna, so he goes over and he unties the nuts. Because he's in Vatsalya Ras, so the nuts were in Vatsalya Ras, so he easily untied the nuts. Krishna jumps in the lap of his father, and he said, Father, I want to stay with you. What about your mother? No, I want to stay with you. And then Mother Yasoda, she comes and she realizes there's some commotion. And then she sees Krishna there with his father. So she opens her arms and she welcomes Krishna, please come back to me. And Krishna just turns his head in the opposite direction and doesn't even look at him. She's completely devastated. She leaves the scene, goes into one of the rooms in her house, lays down and starts crying. Now, in some of the commentaries on this story, that says that Krishna's mother acted a little bit too strong. In fact, Nanda Maharaj said to his wife, why did you tie him up? It was too much of a punishment for such a young little boy. But then Nanda Maharaj said to his son, I think your mother is unhappy. Why don't you go see your mother? Okay, father, if you say so. So he went into the room and she was there. She was crying. Then she saw him. She stopped crying and he smiled and he started running, jumped in her lap, and she was so happy. And she offered her breast milk to Krishna. Krishna was happy and his mother was very happy, and happy ever after story. At least we can say that. So yeah, this is a beautiful pastime. When you actually understand the depth of this particular pastime, it really illustrates Krishna's opulence and the love that Krishna has for his devotees and the love that devotees have for Krishna. And Krishna's nature is reflected in this particular pastime, that this mischievous nature of a child is coming actually from Krishna. And Prabhupada would make this point continuously in many of his lectures. Whatever qualities and characteristics you have, they're coming from Krishna because you are part and parcel of Krishna. The soul is non-different than Krishna in spiritual essence. So we have many of the same qualities of Krishna, not all of them, but many of them, in small quantities. So this mischievous nature is also there in Krishna. That's the origin of this nature in Krishna. Okay, so we'll stop there and see if there's any discussion.
Thank
Today
you.
is
Yes.
Diwali Day. And we'll also mention a little bit about Diwali at the end.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for narrating this pastime. I really felt that it was a perfection of life, hearing this pastime from your lotus mouth, and today's, such auspicious day, and from you, it was very nectarian to hear that, like anytime. But a few things which I'm sure few of us would have known, which was not known to me before that. First was that why Mother Yashoda couldn't tie Krishna. Second was why didn't cowherd boys didn't untie Krishna. And there was one more point which I missed. I think there was two definitely, and yes, two. So thank you so much for sharing this with all of us. And devotees, if you have any questions, comments, realizations, please, or maybe anything like about this pastime you felt from the talk, please share with us. And please keep your cameras on. Maharaj, maybe we can try keeping your cameras on and camera on, and let's see if it works. Yes, do it. Yes, so question time is on, and anyone, you can raise your hands or you can just unmute yourself or type in the chat box. I'll read it for you. Thank you. Yes, Scarlett Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, Your Holiness Candramauli, and all glories to all of you devotees. I have a question, which it's in indirect. It's not about what we read all, but some. Today is eclipse, and I know I have learned things about eclipse, that you should eat, you should not eat, you should do that, you should do that. May I ask how come then they have still this entity or whatever it is has still that power to defect devotees? We say devotees. How come Krishna let this entity do disturbance?
Well, that's a discussion point. Some people say that when you're engaged in devotional service, you don't have to follow any of these restrictions. Others say we should follow them. So even amongst the devotees, there's some discussion about following or not following. But we follow some basic thing. There's a few things that are listed that we follow. You shouldn't eat during that time. You shouldn't sleep. You shouldn't cut your nails. You shouldn't cook. But other devotees don't follow that. I think it's fine because devotional service is transcendental to that. So when Prabhupada was here, I don't remember him ever giving us any restrictions during this time. I'm here in Mayapur, and we were following that. 229 was the Suktak. Suktak is the preliminary stage before the actual eclipse, which comes about 2 hours before the eclipse, and therefore one should not perform any activities, even during the preliminary time, certain activities. So we had lunch earlier today. So in order to follow, I think Namrat, I don't know what she did in her Bombay excursion. But yeah, so yeah.
Out of fear, I have fast because I'm afraid, because I have heard so many things that you shouldn't do, you shouldn't do, you shouldn't do. So I have fasting.
Yeah, it's good. Good, it's good. You should follow it. I followed it.
Okay.
But when you understand devotional service is transcendental to everything, but the thing is, devotees are not always so transcendental. Although devotional service is transcendental, we're not sometimes so transcendental, so we may also be affected. And it's Rahu. Rahu comes in front of the sun and blocks the sun for a period of time. And that's related to the pastime in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the turning of the milk ocean. If you read that pastime, you understand what is this connection with Rahu and the sun. Rahu is inimical to the sun and the moon, because Rahu was a demon who tried to get the nectar by disguising himself as a demigod. When Mohini Murti had awarded the nectar of immortality to the demigods, Rahu disguised himself as a demigod in order to get the nectar. and he sat amongst the demigods. And then the sun and the moon, they saw that this Rahu was actually a demon, so they exposed him. When they exposed him, he was just drinking the nectar. So then Vishnu took his chakra and cut off his head. His head became immortal and his body died on the spot. So that head became a planet, and that's called Rahu. So Rahu doesn't like the sun and the moon. So he at times he causes darkness and this is called solar and lunar eclipse. So today is a solar eclipse. So that pastime is there in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
I have read about the Rahu and Ketu, which is the body of the Rahu. Rahu is the head and the Ketu is the body. Is it wrong? I have read it wrong.
I never heard that.
I read it. I read about it that the head is Rahu, the body is south, north node and south node, and is the when he got the elixir, he managed to take a drop in his mouth before Vishnu cut his head, and that's why he still can affect people, affect universe, and so on and so on. And that's why the blood of the Rahus come to the earth, and it became onions and garlic. That's what I have read about it. I don't know if it's right.
You read it in the Shastras, it's right.
Is it in Shastra?
I don't know that part, but I don't doubt it. It could be right.
Thank you.
I can't give you yes or no because I don't know.
No, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Scarlett Mataji. And I really like your notebooks with the notes in it. Lots of colorful. It shows you read a lot. Thank you. That's very inspiring.
It looks like Raj looks like looks like he's Rahu, ready to attack the sun and the moon. You look like you're somewhere in the higher dimensions of space travel.
Any other
Thank you,
questions?
Maharaj.
devotees?
Hopefully one day I'll be able to space travel with your blessings, Maharaj. Maharaj, they say that everything in the spiritual world is a personality. So when you were telling that story, I was thinking, how wonderful is it, amazing is it that the wooden grinding mortar, the personality of that wooden grinding mortar gets tied to Krishna.
Yeah. Everything is sentient. Sentient means conscious. How can anything in the spiritual world be unconscious? That's the material world. Material world, we make difference between matter and spirit. In the spiritual realm, there is only pure spirit.
And the rope also would be a personality.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Maybe Raj Prabhu want to be that Mota who is always tied up with Krishna.
Looks like he's tied to something right now. Can't tell what it is. Looks like some cosmic being who's just coming to give blessings or something. Okay. Any other questions?
Namrata Mataji has a question, Maharaj. Yes, go on, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Damodar month. So I'm not exactly willing to ask a question, but I'm just willing to share the my favorite personal favorite thing which I read in the Damodar Lila, that when Krishna is approaching Yashoda Mata to have milk from her breast, so the flow of milk is so much that Krishna cannot even, it is too much for Krishna also. Even Krishna cannot match up to the extent that that much flow Yashoda Mata have of the milk, and that indicates the love of her Vatsalya Ras, I guess. So that is one of the thing I really like in Damodar Lila.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
sweet. Yeah, it's very sweet. The love for Krishna exceeds even Krishna's love for his devotee. This shows you how powerful Krishna is, that he can attract love in such a powerful way. So any love that we have for Krishna is just a small drop in the unlimited reservoir of love. As Krishna is unlimited, so love for Krishna is also unlimited. Can't reach an end to it. Although you may describe it in some limited way, still it's just for the sake of understanding. Okay, Sri Devi jumps in. Okay.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and a very happy Deepavali to you and to everyone. Dear Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to celebrate Deepavali very gorgeously. In fact, there's a letter giving instructions that the whole temple should be illuminated with hundreds of diyas and very gorgeously decorated. In fact, those are the words Srila Prabhupada wrote. But yet we find that in our temples, there's not so much emphasis on Deepavali or the lights, maybe a little bit here and there, but not really. We emphasize, I think, the next day, Govardhan Puja more. So do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, Prabhupada didn't give much emphasis to Diwali. He said we can decorate, we should have candles or lights within the temple now. That's all he really said. Yeah. Because Diwali days, people worship demigods most.
Diwali day, people worship
demigods. But it is a pastime where Diwali is when Ram returns to Ayodhya, and the whole city of Ayodhya lights lamps in order to greet the Lord after his exile in the forest for 14 years. He's returning home. In India, they celebrate it in a little bit more. People go from house to house, and everybody has sweets, right? And those of you, so it's your house, you give them a sweet, and they're happy, and sometimes they bring sweets and give it to you. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a whole new year thing. The next day, the new year begins. The whole house, a month before, the houses are cleaned, everywhere gets ready for Deepavali. They wear new clothes on Deepavali day. They visit each other. They bring, as you said, homemade sweets. Nice.
Yeah, but Prabhupada didn't put emphasis on that. He put emphasis on Govardhan Puja, put emphasis on worshiping Damodar in this particular month. These are the things. Because, you know, if you understand the whole system of worship, during this time, people worship demigods a lot. It's like last night, I don't know if you could hear it, Sri Devi, but no, maybe where you are. But there was a big party in the village last night. It goes on all night. You can hear them singing and playing music. It goes on the whole night, practically. So this month is for worshiping Devas, Durga. Also they worship Lakshmi. They worship Durga. They worship Ganesh. But one of the reasons why Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill is connected to all of these other worships, because Krishna said, give up all your, because what did he tell Nanda Maharaj? You don't have to worship Indra, just worship Govardhan Hill. Just worship me in the form of Govardhan Hill. So that's the culmination of all worship, that Govardhan Hill is Krishna. And if one worships Krishna, there's no need to worship any of the demigods, because demigods get all their power from Krishna. And whatever the demigods can give is coming from Krishna. The one who worships Krishna can include all the demigods are satisfied. But if you worship the demigods, you may not even satisfy the demigods, and you don't get their benediction either. What to speak of getting Krishna. So just worship Krishna because the demigods worship Krishna.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
If you have $1 million, you have $1,000. If you have $1,000, you don't have $1 million. The one who worships Krishna is on the highest platform and everything is there. There's no need for any other form of worship. First, we worship Krishna and the spiritual master together. That is actually the same. But aside from that, there's no other worship. One should give respects to the demigods. One should not belittle the demigods. One should not deride the demigods. But one should understood that bhajate, word bhajate means to worship. And bhajate refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, this is very clear. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shridevi Mataji. Scarlet Mataji, do you have another question?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Govardhan Hill and doing, I have learned that when there will be celebration, they do cakes in the form of Govardhan Hill, and they put some figures that represented Krishna and so on, cows and so on. What I have difficulty and I can't understand it is the Govardhan Hill in the form of cake, that okay, but the figure, why should it be in the form of candy that you eat it later on? Why not to have like dolls and just take it away? You don't need to eat them, because I mean to eat Krishna's candy in the form of Krishna or cows in the form of cow, but it's candy, and eat them. For me, I have a little difficulty with that. What do you think?
Well, Prabhupada didn't want cows to be made in the form of anything eatable. He stopped that when devotees made cow cookies for him. He said, this, we should stop this. So yeah, that's a good point. But we don't do that for Govardhan Hill. We don't. We make these little statues that are not eatable. The only edible thing is the food itself. That's
why I'm saying it, because I have seen it here in the spiritual center that they have done it and they eat it.
Well, that's wrong. It's an offense, actually. Because
Thank you.
If you start eating cows then made out of different edibles, you'll start eating cows later on anyway.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is what I'm thinking. That is how I think. It's disturbed me to see that the children, they give to the children and the children eat it, nom, yum, yum. This is how I eat it, nom, yum, yum. I can't, for me, I don't understand it.
No, we don't eat cows in any form.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. It was nice to take a darshan finally. Any other questions? Maybe I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
I accidentally turned on my video. I'm sorry.
oops.
Okay, so tomorrow Govardhan Puja, at least in India. How about the West? Yeah,
In UK, we'll be celebrating it tomorrow.
yeah. We're doing a ceremony in Prabhupada Samadhi starting at 10:30 in the morning. So I'll be giving class in the Samadhi tomorrow, and there'll be kirtan and be a big feast. So those of you who are in Mayapur, come. Those of you who are not in Mayapur, see where your activities will be being performed and attend. If you don't attend the functions during Govardhan, we don't have anything good to say. You can't stay home on this day. It's not fun. You go to your temple or perform the ceremony somehow.
Guru Maharaj, you're giving class at Prabhupada Samadhi?
Yeah, 10:30 tomorrow morning.
Thank you for letting us know that.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm sorry, is it online
go-
too? Can I see it from the Facebook or something?
Yeah, you can see Mayapur, maybe they'll live stream it from Mayapur, I don't know. Mayapur.com, mayapurtv.com.
mayapurtv.com. Yes.
Two of the most important pastimes that we celebrate is Krishna dancing Rasa Lila and Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. These are two outstanding pastimes that should be, all the devotees should take part in these particular pastimes. We take part in Rasa Lila by simply honoring the Lord on that day. But for Govardhan Puja, it's the most fun pastime. It's a very joyful pastime. Very, very joyful.
Okay. So is there anything you want to talk about Diwali, I think, or can we close the class, Maharaj? Because
I just
yes.
Diwali before. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your association and time, Maharaj. Thank you. And thank you everyone
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Gopad ki jai.
Ki jai.
Shri Harinam
Damodar Lila
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
Diwali Day ki jai.
Jai.
Lord Ramachandra ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Damodar Vrat-
Jai.
My obeisances to you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Manchata
Candramauli ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Make Krishna, make a pretzel in the form of Krishna. Damodar likes to make pretzels. So maybe you can make a pretzel form of Krishna tomorrow to go over that. Yeah. Everybody should use their service attitude. Namrata can do something very wonderful on Govardhan. We can do some artistic decoration of Govardhan.
I'm trying to make a rangoli tomorrow, Guru Maharaj, on Govardhan Hill. I'm just trying it.
What's that? Say again.
I'm trying to make a rangoli tomorrow on Govardhan Hill and the pastime of that.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
really, yeah. Take a picture. After you make
Yes.
it, take a picture. Let us see it. Yeah.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.